Imagine for a second pouring your entire life savings into the supposed future of money, only to wake up one day and realize that future was a total illusion. Today, we're unpacking what is easily one of the most audacious, mind-bending financial mysteries of our time.
Ask yourself this: what if one of the absolute biggest cryptocurrency empires in human history literally never existed? We're talking about a massive, global phenomenon backed by millions of people who genuinely believed they'd found the next big evolution of finance. But there was no real blockchain, no actual mining, no decentralized network, just a masterful, sweeping facade.
Let's dive into this, because this number is just hard to wrap your head around. $4 billion. $4 billion. That is the staggering amount of cash that poured into this total illusion from eager investors all over the globe. It wasn't just your typical wealthy venture capitalists taking a wild gamble. No, it was everyday folks. It was families. It was tight-knit communities pooling their hard-earned paychecks into a system called OneCoin, completely oblivious to the fact that the entire foundation beneath it was practically made of air.
So, how does something like that even happen? Let's get into Section 1, Selling a Digital Illusion.
It's 2014. Bitcoin is absolutely exploding. People everywhere were watching early Bitcoin investors turn into literal millionaires practically overnight. Naturally, everybody was desperately searching for the next big thing, right? They wanted a chance to get in on the ground floor. And perfectly timed to feed that peak global financial hunger, enter OneCoin, promising revolutionary technology and absolutely massive life-changing profits.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer contrast between this glamorous, larger-than-life projection of power and the total emptiness of the actual product she was selling. At the absolute center of the OneCoin universe was its founder, Ruja Ignatova, widely known as the Crypto Queen. And wow, she was perfectly cast for the role. She was highly educated, fiercely confident, and insanely charismatic. She'd stand on these massive stages in front of thousands of screaming fans, wearing expensive designer gowns, dripping in heavy jewelry. She projected this aura of absolute power and undeniable financial success.
Her ultimate battle cry: OneCoin will become bigger than Bitcoin. And honestly, that one incredibly confident, massive promise was really all it took. Because she looked the part and spoke with such unshakable certainty, people bought it. Millions of people. OneCoin started throwing these incredibly lavish events in massive arenas, spreading like wildfire across Europe, Asia, Africa, you name it. Promoters were pushing it relentlessly as a once-in-a-lifetime ticket to completely change your financial destiny.
But let's look under the hood. Section 2, Anatomy of the Fraud.
And this brilliantly illustrates the deception, because it is literally night and day when you put legitimate crypto next to OneCoin. Look, a real cryptocurrency runs on a public blockchain, right? It's decentralized, it's totally transparent, anyone in the world can verify the transactions. But OneCoin? When investigators eventually pulled back the curtain, they revealed there was absolutely no functioning public blockchain. None. Zero. The transactions were reportedly just managed entirely internally. So those numbers that investors were excitedly watching tick up on their computer screens, allegedly, they were little more than basic database entries manually typed in by the company itself. The core technology they were selling literally did not exist.
So, you're probably wondering, if there wasn't any actual technology, how on earth did it grow so incredibly fast? Well, they built a highly aggressive, brilliantly disguised recruitment machine. Step 1, you buy in. Step 2, you recruit others to do exactly the same thing. And the more people you brought into the fold, the more commission you'd earn. It's this exact structure that fueled OneCoin's explosive, almost unstoppable global takeover. The money just flowed straight to the top. Basically, new investors were paying out the old ones. To financial investigators, this whole setup looked strikingly identical to a massive, classic Ponzi scheme.
But how do you keep a fragile house of cards like this standing when critics finally start asking the hard questions? You use the ultimate psychological weapon, FOMO, the fear of missing out. And let's be real, it's a trap any one of us could fall into. Believers defended OneCoin fiercely. Anyone criticizing it was just written off as a hater who didn't understand the future of finance. Massive, glaring warning signs were completely ignored, all because the intoxicating hope of getting rich, of finding that magical next Bitcoin before anyone else did, completely blinded everyday families to the reality staring them right in the face.
But eventually, gravity takes over. Section 3. The empire collapses. Legitimate tech experts started publicly calling out OneCoin's claims, basically pointing out that what they were promising was technologically impossible. Investigative journalists started sniffing around the incredibly messy corporate structure.
And crucially, global regulators finally started paying very close attention. The questions were getting louder and louder by the day, and all that immense, crushing pressure was mounting squarely on the shoulders of the crypto queen. The walls were rapidly closing in.
Which brings us right to the climax of this unbelievable timeline. So OneCoin launches in 2014. By the fall of 2017, the global scrutiny is just at an absolute boiling point. And then, the moment that literally shocked the entire financial world. In October of 2017, just days before she was supposed to appear at a major, highly anticipated public event for the company, Ruja Ignatova quietly boarded a flight from Sofia, Bulgaria, over to Athens, Greece. And after she landed in Athens, nothing. Just a complete and total vanishing act. Since that exact day in 2017, there have been no confirmed sightings of her. No public statements, nothing at all. A high-profile, incredibly glamorous billionaire who commanded international stages simply evaporated into thin air. Her disappearance took this from a massive fraud scandal and turned it into one of the most gripping international mysteries of our time. Did she successfully escape with billions in stolen cash? Did powerful people help her hide? Or did something far darker happen behind the scenes?
Section 4. A brutal financial lesson.
So the crucial point is the devastating human cost left in her wake. Once the truth became impossible to hide, the fallout was utterly catastrophic. International investigations confirmed the whole deception. Millions of everyday investors woke up to realize they had been deliberately, systematically misled. And those billions of dollars? They vanished, right along with the crypto queen. Real lives were ruined here. Families saw their entire life savings completely wiped out, and tight-knit communities who had unknowingly recruited their own friends and neighbors were left entirely financially and emotionally devastated.
Technology alone means nothing without transparency. The dramatic collapse of OneCoin will definitely go down as one of the biggest, most painful fraud scandals in cryptocurrency history. You can have the slickest pitch in the world, the flashiest presentations, the most mind-blowing promises, but those promises mean absolutely nothing if there isn't transparent, verifiable proof to actually back them up.
At its core, this whole story is a massive warning sign. It exposes just how insanely powerful hype can become when it's mixed with the fear of missing out. People wanted so desperately to believe in the dream that they walked right past a million red flags. We always have to remember, if a financial opportunity sounds entirely too good to be true, it almost certainly is. In the world of finance, appearances can be dangerously, disastrously deceptive. OneCoin was a fake crypto empire built entirely on smoke and mirrors and powered by blind belief.
The truth did eventually catch up to the multi-billion-dollar illusion of OneCoin. But today, even as the dust has settled on destroyed livelihoods and completely vanished fortunes, one incredibly haunting question still remains. Where is the crypto queen? And honestly, will the world ever actually get the answer?